Right. So, as the eyes of the world descend, as you, Dr. Salazar, standing in this warehouse, this wing that continues to contain this body that you have procured from beneath Dawning Academy, thanks to the help of Alouise Azure. You have heard many a times and much news of this being the day before whatever calamity might befall thanks to this Cowrel the Vile and Igwelv the Witch Queen. You hear the light footfalls of a familiar figure as it enters within this warehouse. The black suit, the blue tie, along with the hat, the band on it. After what has happened in this past year, the events within Volflora having come to a close, and the knowledge that you have pertaining to the future, it weighs on you that this may be the last time that you see your best friend. As you see, as he approaches, he looks unfettered emotionally. Doctor.
Alouise.
Today is finally the day.
So it seems.
I am sure, as you know, there are things I do not want you telling anyone, aside from what I am willing to assure them, and providing you with the will. Contingents are in mind. People have been informed. However, they are not informed of you. There are things that even I do not wish the others to know, especially within the Black Archives. They're not conniving, I can assure you, but they are experienced in being a little overzealous on certain decision making. So your effort in being discreet would be recommended.
I have always, ever been discreet with you, Alouise.
I am familiar.
I take great pride in my patient-client confidentiality.
Given that our case is a little bit more complicated. As a man that frequents the arts of necromancy, I have a particular question for you in mind, if you don't mind.
What is it?
Will it hurt?
Well, Alouise, I would have to imagine normal revivify or revival magic is restoring the nerves and synapses to a once departed cadaver. That sort of reigniting of the senses can come with pain. However, we are dealing with something entirely different here.
It's not that I'm unfamiliar with pain. And you kind of just like see as he kind of like rubs the clavicle where that mark had been by the curse of Igwo. Now long gone, it's just prevalent.
That is one secret you could never keep from me.
Huh. I worry that if it is too much, I am not sure if I will maintain my much more calmer demeanor. So, that's why I ask if it will hurt. Not for my sake, but for yours.
I don't think you'll have to worry much about me. This is somewhat uncharted territory we're delving into, Alouise.
I know. I know it all too well. And so, that is the reason why I'm trying to create as many assurances as possible. I have contacted Hepsel in helping me with a particular matter as it lays forth with whatever journey might befall you and many others. So, if you or anyone is to deign to call upon him, his only answer is to tell you to go to hell. Regardless, though, I have also assured a number of caches in various places, some unknown, some known, some beyond this realm, some within. They should hold whatever riddle and secret the Black Archives has put together. Since it is not my duty to decode them, I will leave that to the rest of you.
Very well. So like you, Alouise, always leaving last-minute work for me to do.
It is perhaps one of my most terrible qualities. But the work must be done nonetheless. So, before I go, and you see as he reaches out from behind the jacket and he pulls out his gun, the Typhoon. I will entrust this to you, as it might help you along the way. As you see as he flips it around in his hands and he holds it out to you. Never use it to threaten, only use it to kill.
He takes the gun, he looks at it for a bit. It's probably his first time holding one.
Astoundingly very light and brimming with magic. And also, there's this strange connection in your mind, almost as if you're relatively proficient with a weapon like this, just it being in your hand. Either by the effects of the actual item itself or something else entirely.
And
when you bring me back, I expect you to hand me that back.
Certainly. Would be a strange doctor indeed to be wandering the world wielding a firearm. Then again, most other doctors have taken oaths to do no harm.
Wow. At least you are willing.
He just stows it in his jacket.
I'm going to miss you, my friend. And you will keep an eye on Cotton and Zara and Murad.
Yes, I will.
For whatever it is worth, my friend, you are the good doctor. And you see as he pats your shoulder. And I will not forget my promise either. I swear that.
I should hope that you would not.
See, as he nods his head and he begins to proceed outside of this warehouse. Again, he seems unfettered, not scared, just willing to accept fate, if insight was able to tell you.
Salazar just quietly watches him go.
And as such, As the weeks pass, you go to fulfill the various duties left behind by Alouise. As you return back to this place of research, this temporary home. Late in the night, you find yourself in your study, surrounded by books, notes, research, everything beyond everything. About 6 months have passed since the death of Alouise Azure. As your research continues to meet the butt end of lack of knowledge, not enough actual notation that could be useful to you. You've reached out to several individuals within the realm of necromancy and even undeath, as you have also been in contact with the individual simply known as Saviden, a lich that has been researching the tomb of Amun-Ra for quite some time. However, nothing connects, and it burdens you late into this night. As the door to your study opens with ease and carefulness, the familiar face of Donna Saccone as she enters this space. Doctor?
Donna.
Up late again, I see.
As usual. This situation vexes me.
As it has I, given I am due in part to helping you with the research. However, I at least want to bring you some form of news, given all that's been happening outside of... points to the four walls in the room. It seems like Wallenstein is increasing their efforts, making their way north. Lycia and Vale have been dealing with more than enough of their own issues, trying to bat them away. That's also not to mention with the recent death of the Queen of Vale. Seems like the world is just falling apart.
Well, that is a shame. But how does that affect us?
It's been affecting our supply lines. With the Ishgari in charge of the Sapphire Seat, and they're also putting in more than enough effort to defend themselves out of Greater Wallenstein. Supplies are starting to get a little low for my liking. I've tried to contact a very particular person, but unfortunately they haven't been able to return my requests. So I am looking for alternatives. I also have another worry because of Wallenstein's efforts to continue to snoop around Erzheimer where they shouldn't, they have gotten on more than one occasion too close to this place. I don't know if it might be recommended for us to... Looking out to the massive body that has been preserved thanks to your magic and her technology. Should we request the Black Archive's assistance to help us move this, or do we stay the course and see what comes walking through the door?
I don't think Alouise would want the Black Archives knowing about this. In fact, I think us two are the very few people that he wants knowing about this. Ever.
So we stay.
We can move. I'll just need a little space and a little time. Eventually. He's sort of like looking at his he's looking at his left hand at the moment. The bones of his hand visible for the world since so long ago, decades at least. The scrimshot notes and diagrams carved into the very bone itself, crackling gently with necrotic energy, as he is technically looking over his spellbook. How big is this creature?
It is considered huge. In terms of Dungeons and Dragons miniatures, it would be considered huge. I would put it at gargantuan, given the fact of how much space it can actually kind of take. But if by miniature standards, this is an adult sapphire dragon.
We have options if we'd like to move. I could see about maybe shrinking the cadaver and sending it into a demiplane.
That will be difficult, considering that we still have to maintain its form from decomposing, and my professionality is more in the sciences and not the arcane. Staring at your hand, just the way that the bones kind of move.
Yes, that could pose a bit of a problem.
I worry a bit, given what we know and don't know, and the fact that we can't even see those with at least some form of protection in this place to continue the research. Somebody is going to stop by and poke. I can bet you anything. The question is on whether or not we should prevent them from getting too close, or figuring out exactly what it is that we can do to bring them in. Any powerful ally will be useful to us, is what I'm saying.
What do you suggest?
I have reason to believe that one of Alouise's... How would you put it? Allies? From the... I think it's the Night Wish or Sandtide, depending on which way we're looking at it.
Ah, yes. His daughter's crew.
Yes. I have reason to believe that they have certain allies that Alouise has told me of. Or at least that they've made a particular ally. So I was wondering if this ally can help protect us. And also help us with the research.
Who is this individual?
Well, he was quite famously known as an Umbrian. Arthur von Druig. And I knew him quite well in my more formative years on the Luxon. He's smart. He's powerful. And his responsibilities towards Volflora have been greatly diminished since the rise of the new Pirate King.
What do I know about Umbrians?
Your information about the Umbrians are quite vast, actually, given how much they have interacted with everyone to do with Alouise. Obviously, you know, the Umbrian known as Calrol the Vile. Arthur von Druig definitely being one of them, having directly interacted with Alouise as a scientist. You're aware of an individual known as Juno, who is a bit more of a muddled mind Lumerian. But Umbrians were individuals marked as traitors to the country of Lumeria. And their traitorous behaviors also led to the outcome of the fall of Lumeria by allowing the Lich King to pass its barriers. Once he did, they managed to escape and collapse the entirety of Lumeria on top of its people, the space that it was overseeing, as well as the Lich King, plus nearly all of his armies. So, Umbrians have a pretty bad rap on purpose because of their desire for vengeance at one point. However, in the more recent years, their actions have led to split factions and differences of opinion of how to save Erdseheimel from whatever threat is beyond the astral abyss. This threat having been regarded as the Dreadnought. So, as far as you are aware, with Umbrians, they are very much individuals in close contact with each other, with ideas of trying to save the star from itself, or from the people, or through methods that seem a bit more on the extreme. And Arthur was no less one of them, as it came to your knowledge that his effort was to try and return back to Lumeria using the Sandtide, entrapping himself within it so that way he could be by the King's side to prevent him from going mad once he managed to free himself and Lumeria during the Age of Esoteric. So he is exceptionally smart, talented, and dangerous. But considering he has been working with Winry, Rudy, and various other individuals within the on the Nightwish or Sandtide, he has come into a much more reasonable fold. And that's pretty much everything you would know from what you've heard. Excuse me.
You think this Umbrian would be amenable to helping us?
I think he will act as both sword and shield. Whilst we continue our research, and with whatever knowledge he might be able to provide, especially given his natural propensity for not dying ever, as well as his association with Alouise. The final call is yours, of course. If you wish for him to assist us, by all means, but if we intend to sit on our laurels, then we can certainly do that as well and wait for somebody else to knock at our door.
I'm just worried about any attached strings that may come with working with this man. But if he can be vouched for, especially by Cotton, then I suppose it's worth looking into.
Then I will send word. And then we will see about bringing in this Umbrian. As you go, she begins to walk towards the door and she opens it. And Doctor.
Yes.
Get some rest, would you?
I won't work myself into exhaustion.
That's all I needed to know.
This needs to get done.
That's all I needed to know. The work will be done. Trust you me. As she walks out the door and you hear the faint click, as you let out a sigh, as you lean back into the chair and let yourself relax for a moment, as you drift into slumber ever so faintly. A few months pass. As summer comes to an end, fall begins. As you find yourself well within this warehouse again. Books have been piling up. Sleep has become secondary. As a figure begins to walk through this door, one that Alouise would often use. The heavy metallic footfalls left and right. The pure white coat and outfit. And this metallic mask with 6 split points that in like a star as it enters and approaches, as well with another individual to his side. Feminine and very blatantly Lumerian. Oh. There we go. As entering and seeing face to face for the first time, as the arms spread out. And you must be the good doctor.
It is what some people called me. Arthur von Druig, I presume.
At your service. Next to me here is an old friend of mine. As you see, approaching is this slicked back golden hair with a few silver streaks that kind of just run through. The golden veins, as they come up, you can see as they actually reach towards the eyes and down. The hands are covered in these half-thick, almost metallic gloves, and these robes of purple and stars as they kind of just envelop everything. And to her side, what looks like to be this heavy tome. Linda Eiweiss, Umbrian. My professionality in the arcane is that of transmutation.
I understand your knowledge in your respective fields is extensive.
Yes. I am more than professional in being able to bring any soul back from beyond into an actual body. However, I was told that the circumstances here are a bit more particular. Therefore, I had asked for Linda to approach this matter with her professionality.
Have you been told what it is we're attempting to do here?
You see as Linda looks at you. No, it was kept particularly secret, and that's, of course, with both of us being here, under the presumption that if we spoke out of turn, we would be well and removed. So, my interest is piqued, as well as Arthur's.
It will remain a secret. Once I tell you, it does not leave your lips unless you are talking to any one of us. Am I understood?
And what of Dr. Cottonelle?
She is not to know.
Peculiar.
Is that a deal breaker, Arthur?
It is quite difficult to hide a secret from a woman like that. But I have restrained my words before. I suppose if it is for the sake of the star and victory, not a word will leave my mouth of whatever it is you intend to tell me. That is a promise I intend to keep.
And what about you?
As long as the promise of it is interesting, I will withhold my words. However, that remains to be seen.
Come with me.
As you see as the two push forward. As you go in around this corner where this massive bay is, they're sitting and still composed and unhampered by time and rot. A fresh sapphire dragon body. You see as Linda's eyes, those blue galaxy-looking eyes, just widen, and where those black spots would be also begin to widen. As Arthur just stares at this massive body. Possibly you do not intend to tell me that you have Alouise's body here?
This is not Alouise. Not yet.
Yet?
Are you familiar with the clone spell?
It is the basis of my technology, yes.
He just gestures with one hand towards the cadaver. I've been working towards the second coming of Alouise Azure for months. Recently, our research and our progress has hit a snag.
See, as Linda kind of just takes a couple steps forward and just looks at him, and then they both look back at each other. To pull the soul of a dragon out from wherever it might be would be pert near impossible. Human souls are far more, or mortal souls are far more malleable, smaller in scale, if that makes sense. To bind it. But this is... If Alouise is not returned back to wherever it is the soul goes to, especially for his kind, then he would still be somewhere within the astral. Considering we have no means of getting up there aside from one of the primordials, and as none of us bear a mark, how do you intend to recapture such a soul, Doctor?
I have my theorems. I have my methods. They've gotten me this far, but they haven't necessarily been enough to meet my purposes. I was hoping that perhaps either of you had some input on this.
My particular technology returns my soul back into one of the many Luxon hands that man my ship. The very core of the Luxon is me. With the technology that I might be able to provide, it will take a great deal of time, secrecy, and resources. Linda, if you are capable of providing us with avenues to those resources, I might be able to at least theorize a device that might be able to place a soul back into an empty vessel. However, since we're talking about dragons and not humanoid, I will have to expand my presumptions. This will take time. But I think the first task that might come to head, at least for you, Doctor, is to find the soul. Or at least find a way to reclaim it in the Black Citadel.
So it seems.
However, that does not mean that we should remain idle. And you see as Linda, I will prepare a transportation circle, one that is exclusive to me, secrecy being of the utmost. But yes, this task is very interesting, to say the least. You will have my assistance.
Excellent.
Very well. Of course, there are other matters that I will have to attend to around Erziheimel, given the precarious situation Volflora is in at the moment. Picking new pirate lords is not an easy task.
That is amenable to me. What you do on your own time is of no concern.
Very well. I will be sure to try and frequent this place as much as possible, then. And, of course, we will keep our word.
I'm sure you will.
You see, as both of them enamored by this massive body, it would take back anybody of any particular history to even so much as attempt to discover or to experiment on a draconic body like this. But there is still much work to be done. As 2 months pass, almost a year has passed now. Work has begun. However, a particular voice enters your head. One day. Excuse me. As you hear a message as it reaches you. This is Harleen Kapoor. I was wondering if we might be able to meet somewhere in private, as I wish to inform you of a particular matter that will need your attendance coming soon. Good day. And this is the end of the sending.
I think he cocks an eyebrow at that. Where? That's all he says.
A message returns to you. A place that you are initially comfortable with. More information will be provided once we meet. That's the end of the message.
Very well.
Name your place.
A place in which he's comfortable. Well, it'll probably be far away from here. Where would that be? Where would that be?
Anywhere in the wide world of Earthseimo, am I right?
Yeah, there's not a lot of places that Salazar necessarily feels comfortable on the surface, but yeah, where was it that Salazar first met the Azure Crest?
It was within one of the southeast towns of Wallenstein near the cliffs of Thalia. Right now, Thalia is considered a neutral zone, especially for those who seek to trade with them, considering that they act as a rampart against Greater Wallenstein in this ongoing war.
A small town near the cliffs of Thalia.
Very well. I will see you within 48 hours, at most, 24 at least. And the message ends as you go and grab equipment, components, prepare spells, as you are given the means to magically travel there and back.
I already have the means via the teleport spell.
And with ease of access, you cast teleportation, as it takes you back to this town that had been damn near decimated by the forces of Greater Wallenstein. This town still thin and not as overbearing as an Arc Knight would often have with their legions here, as the slight push from the Cliffs of Thalia have actually made this area a part of the Cliffs of Thalia thanks to their takeover. Of course, heading any more close west, you'll be heading into the Rythro. As you begin to walk the town and you see, the emblazoned and bold insignia of the House of Ishigari on many individuals who act as contingent to prevent Greater Wallenstein from moving any more south. You walk without too much trouble, and nobody is assuaged to bother an individual so brightly dressed.
Mm-hmm.
As you make your way to this outpost, this home, as you see sitting there...
Before I do anything, I'm going to cast Mind Blank on myself.
Alright. Not too familiar with this spell.
Until the spell ends, one willing creature you touch is immune to psychic damage. Any effect that would sense its emotions, read its thoughts, divination spells, or the charmed condition. The spell foils even wish spells or spells of similar power that are used to affect the target's mind or gain information.
I see. Okay. That's a pretty chunky spell for this. I respect that. As you go to approach, there is the figure, heavily armed, sword and shield on back, and kind of just in this trance, waiting patiently, this elven woman, high elven woman. Before, as you kind of like approach, the eyes awaken and they see you. Good to meet you again. Dr. Salazar.
You must be Harleen Kapoor.
That I am. I was hoping that we might have a quick discussion on a certain matter that needed attending to.
And what might that be?
I am not sure if Alouise has told you yet, or at all, of who I am, or was.
Has he said anything about her?
He would have informed you that Harleen was or is an Umbrian, but as an elf is quite peculiar given that Umbrians are notably Lumerian.
A little.
Then you would know that I have a very long history of questionable actions. So, given recent events and all things bound to happen soon, I thought it best that I clear the air officially in a manner that I think is befitting for me. I have requested a formal trial before my king. And as such, I need those with information and witnesses pertaining towards Alouise Azure, as well as any particular scale of my character.
When you say king, you refer to the king of the Adamantine Bastion, I assume.
Correct. Canis Metilius and Helena Metilius will be in presence for this trial.
And I'm to act as a character witness? Is that what you'd have me do?
Partially, yes. There are things about Alouise that I still do not have full knowledge of. And there are things that I am sure that you do know. Therefore, any missing pieces in my statements or any particular corrections that you could have for this trial will be necessary to assure that the verdict is correct. I will ask you to do nothing but tell the truth, and that is all.
And why, Miss Kapoor, would I do this for you?
I know who you are. I know what it is you want. I also know that much like Alouise would want to assure that the justice for his daughter is followed through for the crimes that I have committed against her.
I am a busy man, though it might not seem like it. And you're asking me to go to a place where my kind is not necessarily accepted.
Doctor, if I may be blunt, you are the last of your kind. Even I know this.
No.
If there is any word that could ever be trusted, it would be yours. I know that you have a great deal of disdain for the royal family. Right or otherwise. Your testimony is necessary.
Very well. We'll chalk it up to a favor you owe me.
I can't assure of whether or not I'll be able to fulfill that favor after my verdict.
You know of me, you know who I am, you know what I do. I can extract my price from you even when you're gone. Just say it, and it will be so.
Very well.
He
Justice is to be
takes
done.
out a little black book. Sign here.
You see as she takes the pen, she signs off. A favor to be owed, life and death.
He writes favor underneath her name, closes the book with a clap, and then puts it back in his jacket. Very well. When do we leave?
The trial begins next month. I will send a particular spell in your direction, to which you will be allowed to enter the Adamantine Bastion, its main castle. And I will also assure all Praetorians, as well as all guards, to leave you unharmed as long as you are willing to adhere to the laws of that land.
Of course.
She goes into the pocket of her armor. She pulls out with what looks like to be this letter. When it begins to glow and burn, the time will come.
He takes it, examines it. As it turns out, I've had some business in the Adamantine Bastion myself. I could use this opportunity to get that done.
Very well. Since there is nothing more that I can do at this moment, good day, Doctor. As she gets up and begins to walk away. Before I forget, a few other individuals that you might be familiar with are going to be in attendance. I have attempted to reach out to Dr. Cottonelle. She has refused, but she will be sending an ally as a liaison. And Citra will be there. Good day. And she goes to walk away. As she walks away, passing around a corner, disappearing into the ether. As this comes to an end on this day, a month passes. As you sit there waiting for the letter, you begin to see that there have been progress being made on the body. And finally, begins to burn and glow. As Dr. Saccone comes walking through the door one last time. Dr. Salazar? Progress is being made. However, it looks like your mind is on something else.
Indeed. I'll be leaving for the Adamantine Bastion soon. Something has come up.
Must be something very interesting then. How long do you think you'll be gone?
With any luck, less than a week. But I have a feeling that things are about to turn on their heads.
I see. Then we will wait for your return, Doctor. Do be safe, and should anything awry happen, we will attempt to contact you.
Very well. I will attempt to provide updates on my end when I do have them.
Be safe, Doctor.
I will.
As you see, as the letter floats up and spins for providing a temporary gate that leads to that massive city in the sky, to the Adamantine Bastion.
As the portal opens in front of him, he beckons with his skeletal hand, and ghouls wrapped in black shrouds will stand at either side of him. Their skin sort of a shimmering blue in color, as wordlessly the three step through the portal.
And as you do, as you feel the immediate coolness of the air hitting your face, as you step out atop this massive staircase that leads up to the castle, there you see several other individuals also walking through their own individual portals to this place. Some familiar, some unfamiliar. Of course, you'll have to find that out on the first session. Yeah. Of course you already know, but of course you'll be pretty much interacting with some of these characters for the first time. But I believe that we'll be closing the first book as well as this chapter of The Good Doctor.